Well, welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Talking God and Politics with Mark, Mike, and my beautiful wife, Denise. A lot's been going on in the world. Some of it easily predictable, but we have again some disagreements on Trump a little bit, but to me, it just seems like he keeps heading in the same direction with all the people he surrounds himself with. But anyway, Mark, how have you been doing?
Well, I'll tell you, man, I'm off the Trump bandwagon. He's attacked Massie for the last time. This is just ridiculous. So this is how I'm feeling right now. This is how I'm feeling.
Gangster party.
So, yeah, it's not good. Not good.
No. Well, so let's just jump right into it. I mean, obviously, the big news is the war. Well, I guess first, before we do that, let's talk about Ted Cruz and Tucker. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually, I might have a well.
Here, you just talk. I'll find it.
Okay. This is just I mean, this is the problem. Like, that was the problem I was trying to point out in my book, is that evangelical Zionists don't know their Bible. And when you think you find one that does, they only know the Bible in their system of Zionism. And it's not exegesis. They just have they're memorizing proof texts, kind of like a knowledgeable Jehovah's Witness or a Mormon that knows their text, their proof text really well. And that's kind of how dispensational Zionists are. And so it's rare that you find one that knows anything remotely about the Bible, except that they're supposed to worship Israel. But Ted Cruz, he just represented that movement perfectly when Tucker is exposing that he does not know his Bible very well, but he says that that's the number one issue for him going into politics, was to defend Israel. And yet Cruz kept claiming that Tucker was obsessed with Israel. And he's like, wait a second, you just got done telling us that your whole purpose in going into politics was to defend Israel because of the Bible. So let's talk about that. Oh, you don't know where this is in the Bible. But anyway, let's
here it is. Here it is.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of it, says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my. You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. But so you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it. And you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology. I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
I'm not.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But what, hold on, define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
And so is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the
God's
descendants of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
And by the way, it's not run by Benjamin Netanyahu as a dictator. It's a democratic country that elected.
But he's the prime minister,
right?
What?
But just like, America is the country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump. The same principle
is silly. I'm talking about the political entity of modern Israel.
Yes, and that is
believe
Israel.
That's what God was talking about in Genesis.
I do, but
that country's existed since when?
For thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist, and then it was recreated just over 70 years ago.
I'm saying I think most people understand that line in Genesis to refer to the Jewish people, God's chosen people.
That's not what it says.
Okay, Israel, but you don't even know where in the Bible it is.
So, noticed at the beginning what I learned in Sunday school.
Right.
He didn't say, this is what I've read in the Bible. This is what I understand scripture to say. He goes, this is what I learned in Sunday school.
Yeah. Like, this is what they programmed me to believe. So doggone it. I'm doubling down on my stupidity. Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, I wanted to ask you, have you seen any Israeli flags flying at any of the churches around your area?
No, we don't get out much, but
okay. I haven't seen too many.
There is one church close to the house that has a billboard, digital kind of thing, and it had Israel on it for a long time. But that was taken down actually several months ago, and I have not seen that restart yet.
But I think Tucker did a really good job of just exposing just how shallow this movement is and their understanding of scripture, and why they're being used as useful idiots for Rothschild, Talmudic Zionist Jews, Khazarian Jews, the Khazarian mafia Jews. And look, I wanted to believe the best of Trump. So let's talk about Trump. We've talked about Cruz. Look, Trump is no better than Cruz. No, Trump is totally ignorant of scripture. Many people think that he's converted to Judaism. It seems like he speaks out of both sides of his mouth, but mostly he claims to be a Christian. But do you have that clip of the charismatics? Because that's probably a good lead in to just show you just how shallow and the lack of understanding he has.
And pay close attention to the voices in the background.
Every place in our book. We just thank you.
Oh, wait, hang on. Let me set this up. So this is a group with Trump's faith office. So I guess he has a faith office that's run by Paula White. And these are some of the people in his faith office praying outside the White House. And this was this morning.
Right now, Lord, from the east, the west, the north, and the south.
Hang on, there we go.
We just thank you right now, Lord, from the east, the west, the north, and the south. You will shake America with your power and your glory. We cancel every assignment of the enemy. This nation was birthed to be one.
There it is. I wrote a Hyundai.
We are declaring your word. Every place that our foot will trod, you will give it to us. And we are taking the land. We thank you, oh Lord. You have brought us to the kingdom for a time such as this. And this is the time. And so we declare right now from the our nation that America will come back to God. We will come back to God. Nothing will stop this nation. And we speak right now by the authority of heaven. You told us to bring heaven to earth. Heaven is being released for your people right now.
Now, the question is, because she said the land, I'm a little confused because I know they came out to talk about Israel, but it's almost like they're just, it's not even prayer really. It's just kind of like throwing a bunch of stuff on the wall and, you know, and then you've got the people.
Because that's Paula White's thing, right? I mean, she's a damnable heretic, but Trump has got no spiritual discernment, no biblical training, no desire to study the Bible on his own. I mean, because your basic young Christian would have discernment enough to know how wrong that movement is. To be, saying that you're poor because you don't have enough faith. You're sick because you don't have enough faith. I mean, it's just a horrible, horrible theology. And
yeah, and it's like they did it for show too. Because if you look, there's a bunch of people standing around, and I mean, it's. I don't even. You go to God in prayer for specific things or as a relationship, and they're just babbling. I mean,
and literally, you got the gibberish where they think they're speaking in a known foreign language that they've never studied, which is just learned behavior. It's not
angelic. It's an angelic language.
Oh yeah,
that's what
that's not
what
even
they call
what they say it is. But yeah, and here's the sad thing, Mark. I don't know if you saw this clip where Trump is in an office and he's got all these evangelicals putting their hands on him, and he says this. He says to the cameras, he says, "If this isn't going to get me in heaven, nothing will." You know what, Trump?
I didn't know that.
If that's seriously your mindset, you're not getting into heaven.
No,
you have not humbled yourself before the King of Heaven.
No.
And you know, I got sick to my stomach, Mark, when he was on TV, you know, going over this bombing, and he said, and you know, he thanked God. Somehow he invoked God in all this. God was a part of this plan. He invoked God in it, number one. And then number two, he said, you know, peace is going to be the result of this. So I was just like, dude, how can you think, man, we've got a gnat in here or something. How can you think that God is somehow involved in this? And to try and like blame him, it was just it was
and I think, you know, his version of God and a lot of people's version of God is what they make up, you know, and not the true God. You think of Islam, they've got a God. The people of Israel and Judaism, they've got a God, and Buddhists, they've got one. Well, maybe
you got Buddhist, the charismatic, name it and claim it.
I mean, they've all got these versions of God, but there really is only one. And that's the weird thing, or not weird. That's the funny thing to me is tons, especially politicians that are not Christians.
They always use God. Yeah.
They always use God. They always
bless America.
You can't hear them say anything about Christ or Jesus or anything, but you hear them talk about God. And I think that's what Trump's doing as well. I mean, I don't think he truly knows. I hate saying that. I don't know his relationship, but it's just what he puts off. And what a lot of politicians put off is that, you know, it's God. But then when you say, well, what about Jesus? Like Ted Cruz, I don't know about him either. I've never heard him say the word Jesus before.
Oh, yeah, I know, but he's just a Zionist. Anyway, babe, what are your thoughts on some of this?
So I know Trump has no concept of what is actually in the Bible. Understood. Clear. I got it. I do think that he knows politically what has happened though before him, or at least at this point he does. Okay. And I think it's important to understand and to go back into the Obama years and the Obama administration and realize that Hillary Clinton is the one that gave Iran enriched uranium. Number one. Obama funded Iran by giving them $1.7 billion. And he and our CIA funded and formed ISIS, number two. And then Biden, during his 4 years, unlocked $16 billion to Iran. Okay. So were they working on the capabilities of enriching uranium? Probably. Was it directly set up by our own government? I would say yes. So do I think that politically speaking, we need to at least be out of our own echo chamber and be willing to accept the idea that perhaps the regime change that is being thrown around is maybe our own regime, the Obama regime that funded and started all of this for the last 20 to 30 years?
Okay, here's my response to my beautiful, wonderful wife. Number one, I'm really convinced at this point that it is a uniparty.
Sure.
I tried to reject that for a while.
Sure.
And when I say a uniparty, I'm talking about a Rothschild Zionist party that runs the Democrats, runs the Republicans. But as long as they have control over both of them to support what Israel wants to do, that's cool. They remain in power. They're like this parasite, and we're the host. But here's the issue: didn't Israel create Hamas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through us and our CIA. Yes.
Right. So, so Israel's at top of our government, controlling Trump and controlling Hillary Clinton. So, yeah, they wanted to build up Iran's nuclear capability so that they could have a justification to go in there and do regime change and take more and more control over the Middle East. They're completely dominating the Middle East. I don't know if you've seen Nick Fuentes' video. He did a great job of going over the whole history of this conflict, not starting in the middle, kind of like Ukraine, like the Ukraine people want to do. They don't want to go back to 2014 and,
talk about genocide.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to push back on that. Okay. All right. I'm going to read this. Okay. It says, what if you were already shown one of the illegal email servers where they were using that server as a clandestine comms network as they were engaged in their nefarious acts in the Middle East and worldwide? We're talking about going back to Hillary Clinton's email servers way back 2015, 2016, when Trump was running against Hillary. Okay. It's like, what if they already showed you that Hillary and Obama and Biden were using that fake email and the fake email names on illegal servers where classified material was being passed around? You just don't remember. We don't remember. Our memories are really short because it was framed almost 10 years ago now, right? This happened 10 years ago when Hillary bit her servers and took her phones and smashed them with hammers. What if on these servers, it was shown literal acts of war were being committed by these people? And I'm talking Mayorkas, Obama, Hillary Clinton, Biden, Uma Abedin, Christopher, Susan Rice, McCain. Okay. All of those involved, because remember, McCain also went over to the Middle East and met with them secretly. Right.
Yeah. And I will. Yeah. And you talk about, and I overwrote it. And I'll get into this. Zero Hedge actually posted just now. I think honestly, the regime change, they've already done that. Who's in power now is exactly maybe not who they want, but they know they can control them on some level. And I'll show the Zero Hedge post here in a minute. But the whole enriched uranium thing, Ian Carroll actually put out a video 5 days ago called "They're Lying About the War in Iran." And he talked about the enrichment that Iran has is only 60%, meaning that it has to be, I think, 80 or 90% enriched to make a nuclear weapon. And it is very difficult to do that. Now, was Iran on their way to doing that? Maybe. Or maybe, like he says, it was just because of the area that they're located in and everybody around them has a nuclear weapon. That they were having this to say, look, guys, you don't know if we have this or not. But, as a defense mechanism. But I have heard, and one of the guys in the chat said, are you guys willing to acknowledge that Iran was enriching uranium in order to develop a weapon? I say no.
Why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't they?
Well, no. Hang on. There's no proof. Now, they did have 60%. He quotes that in his video. And
sure.
But there is no proof that they have them.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter anyway.
And there is a fantastic video out there saying, would we ever attack North Korea? and bomb them.
That's what Matt Gates
No,
said.
we wouldn't, because we
Right.
know that a madman's in charge of their nuclear weapons, and we know
Right.
they have nuclear warheads. We would never do that. We bomb them. The posture is, by a lot of people, if we want to go outside of our echo chamber, is that Trump did this preemptively to take away Israel's talking point of constant Iran is weeks away from having a nuclear weapon. It was a preemptive strike to take that talking point away. I'm just saying that is what a lot of people are pointing out, that he is removing and has removed so much of what was laid and the foundation that was laid by Clinton and Obama and Biden way back in the early 2000s.
And I hope so. It's just every day it seems like he's just driving a wedge between me and him.
I know.
Attacking Thomas.
I don't know.
Massie.
We can't. I don't know how long we can go on the Q train. I really don't. I mean, it's just like, it doesn't matter what Trump verbally says. It doesn't matter what Trump verbally does. It's like, no, he's still this 5D chess master that, like, regime change doesn't really mean regime change in the context. It means something else. I don't know, babe.
It is interesting, though, that Iran did say that the red line was killing the Ayatollah Khomeini. That was their red line. It wasn't bombing their potential nuclear sites. It was killing the Ayatollah Khomeini. That was their red line. And Trump absolutely said to Israel, no, we will not be involved in that. I don't know. It's just
all right.
We want to get out of our echo chamber. There are other points of views to consider.
And this aligns with kind of what you're saying. And look, I'm kind of off the Trump bandwagon for a couple of reasons. I mean, we didn't have to bomb anything, but who knows if we did? I mean, we may have bombed a few mountains outside of, no civilization in Iran just to make it, because what I'm about to show you is very confusing almost. But it kind of plays into what you're saying about that maybe he's not 5D chess. I don't think he's that smart, but doing things to kind of placate and please Israel, but at the same time standing on what he said about keeping us out of war, and trying to figure out a way to do both, because on X, he's all over the place. And maybe that's
Mark, how can you stay out of war when you bomb the hell out of a country?
I understand.
And shoot their missiles out of the air? I mean, I don't know what this guy's thinking where he says, yeah, and we should have peace from here on out.
Because there are a lot of people going back to the negotiations and the talk that the Trump administration was having with Iran just 2 days before this, saying that deals were already made. There are a lot of people reporting that deals were already made, that Iran knew what Trump was going to do, and that Trump knew and knows that there will be some kind of retaliatory strike so that Iran can save face.
And there was, in a certain sense. So a couple of things. One is, we know, and you can find it on X, you can go look it up. They did not hit this nuclear facility. It was still standing. They've done before. Tons of people on X have shown the before and afters. So that was a lie. So that's what I mean by they dropped bombs in the middle of a mountainous area. I don't even think that the U.S. Military was even looking to hurt anybody. I think they were just going to drop some bombs in the middle of nowhere and that would be it. Now, Mike, to your point, yes, drop bombs, even dropping bombs on a sovereign country is an act of war. Absolutely. I agree. But this is this is another reason why I'm telling you this regime change is a joke. They've already got the man in place. And here's kind of what their hedge is saying. And so we dropped bombs yesterday, or was it the day before? Anyway, and then Tehran comes back and says Iran's missile attack on the U.S. airbase in Qatar was telegraphed well in advance, suggesting Tehran intended a symbolic show of force while offering a way to de-escalate after U.S. strikes over the weekend. So The skies over, and then as seen in currently even says that the skies over Tehran have quieted down after many days of constant strike waves by Israel. The U.S. military saying all missiles were intercepted over Qatar Air Base. Who knows? But that's what I think it was, is that it was just a show. That and the White House now signals it currently has no plans to launch a retaliatory strike in the wake of today's Iran attacks on the U.S. assets in the Gulf. Most reports are claiming that no missiles actually struck the ground, which who knows?
No.
Trump's statement in the aftermath, thanking Iran, ironically enough, Iran has officially responded to our obliteration of the nuclear facility with a very weak response, which we expect. There have been 14 missiles fired, blah, blah, blah. I want to thank Iran for giving us early notice. Thank you. I mean, none of it, but it's all just seems like a show.
Yeah, it does seem like a show.
And then he comes out, congratulations, world, it's time for peace. Mission accomplished. It's essentially saying mission accomplished. And it declared that the 3 nuclear facilities struck by U.S. bombers over the weekend were totally destroyed, which is not true. You can look at it on X. They haven't been destroyed.
Yeah.
I think he was told that they were destroyed. I believe that bombs actually hit the facilities. I don't believe any of that other stuff. I think that it is in such a rocky mountain that would account for the reason why it's still intact. But I don't know. I tend to take things at pretty much face value, but
it just seems like a show. I mean, now there's world peace. So, okay. So
there's not world peace.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he said. It doesn't,
Mark, Russia is sending nukes to Iran. China was Korea is sending bombs to Iran. That doesn't sound to me like there's this big peace going on. Maybe I'm missing something here, but just because Trump blows something out of his mouth doesn't mean it's so. I think he's probably
that.
Well, no, but I mean, maybe that's his name it and claim it stuff. You know, he's declared that the war's over. Really? I'm not so sure you can do that, buddy. But we'll see.
I think dictators of certain countries can say those things, but are they actually telling the truth? Or is North Korea really shipping nuclear weapons? I don't know, 10,000 miles to Iran. I don't know how long it is, but is Russia really? No, I think it's all for show. And the interesting thing is I think what America or what we've done in the last few days now seems to be for show.
Well, there's one thing that Awaken Outlaw said. He said there's 100% chance that no one knows exactly what is going on, which I agree with.
Right.
Nobody knows exactly what's going on. Yeah.
What I do know is Trump didn't. I mean, look, he attacked Thomas Massie. That's enough for me. That's ridiculous.
Okay, let's talk about this. I tweeted on this. Okay, I even tweeted on Massie's account. I said, "Look, Massie, the reason why Trump hates you so much is because you stand for everything he doesn't.
Right?
He's a coward. He's a pragmatist. You take a stand, a courageous stand against AIPAC, Israel, and the Zionists, and I believe he paid the ultimate price. I think his wife, because I don't know, maybe it was coincidence that his wife just died like right after he came out and was honest about Israel and AIPAC. And then the other issue is
that's interesting.
Trump is a pragmatist. He does not make decisions based upon Christian integrity, values, or any kind of moral compass. He's a complete pragmatist.
But I don't think any politician's ever done that.
Well, I'm just telling you, that's the difference. That's the difference between a guy like Massie that stands and makes decisions consistently based upon principles that he has. He has a moral compass. Trump doesn't have that. He's just a pragmatist.
No, most politicians
hates him because Massie is getting a lot of public support because they see in Massie what they don't see in Trump. And that is a goy bitch that
right
pays homage and does whatever Israel
I think
wants.
honestly, that's the big reason. I mean, Massie came out and said, look, I'm not going to stand or I'm standing in front of the whole big, beautiful bill because of all the spending, get rid of the spending. And he said, I'll vote for it. And then Trump seems to have backed down off that. And then all of a sudden Massie comes out and starts talking about the AIPAC stuff and saying this. And then of course, Trump attacks him even harder. And I think you're absolutely right. That is the big reason he's attacking him, because he's showing that, and Massie came out and said it, he said it on Tucker, almost the entire House, the Senate,
has AIPAC,
and the executive branch are bought and paid for.
But that's Trump too.
No,
and
right.
Trump,
That's why I said
Trump's got no problem with it. He loves it. Trump has told in interviews in the past that he regrets that Congress wasn't under the control of Israel at certain points. I mean,
where did he say that?
Oh, I'll be more than happy to pull that up for you. But for the Q people just to never pay attention to what he actually says, who he surrounds himself with, who he takes money from, what he actually does. I think it's detrimental, because
which,
you're just
by the way, Ian Carroll, in that they're lying about Iran. He I think it's about 30 minutes in, he takes 15 minutes and talks about who funded Trump in this second election. And if you notice, it was almost every single Jewish billionaire in the United States. And he kind of highlights it. It's very good. Very good. It is funny though, with all the attacks from Trump, and he's done one big one. This is what Massie, this was earlier today about this morning, about this morning. Thank you for the 988 people who donated over $83,000 in the last 24 hours. Every time I'm attacked for defending the Constitution, y'all have sent the swamp a message by making me stronger. So he's making, every time he gets attacked. I think it's great. I think people are coming around.
No one voted for Bush Light, and that's what Trump is.
Right.
He's exactly. Bush Light, and no one voted for that. Candace doesn't like it. I don't like it. Ian Carroll doesn't like it. Matt Gaetz doesn't like it. Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't like it. Massie, and on and on and on. He is splitting apart MAGA, and the guy's so arrogant to sit there and tell everyone, you don't get to decide who MAGA is. I did it, which is really kind of arrogant, and it's actually kind of contrary to what he has said in his rallies. We're doing this. But all of a sudden, when he gets criticized by MAGA people, you don't get to. Before it was it's our movement. No, you don't get to. I get to. Now that's the dictator part of Trump.
He's got an ego. I've always said that his ego. I was kind of hoping that the assassination attempt would have kind of quelled a little bit.
Made his ego actually worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like now he's in office and it's kind of like it's blowing up again. And I guess that's what the office of the presidency does. I mean,
and the truth is it's last 4 years. So all gloves are off. He's going to do what he's going to do because he doesn't have to worry about trying to be reelected again. So,
okay. So here's my take on that. After his assassination attempt, I know this because I've watched the videos. There's all kinds of rabbis that are equating him to Cyrus, and that God spared him because he is going to be the goy Cyrus that's going to protect Israel. So he's got all these Talmudic Zionists surrounding him, telling him why God saved him so that he can defend Israel. He's got Christian Zionists like Mike Huckabee manipulating him from Jerusalem. We all saw the text, I did, and where that was going. So all of these Zionists, whether they're quote unquote Christians or Talmudic, are in a bubble surrounding Trump, telling him, you were saved by God so you can protect God's people, Israel. So this guy's getting a Messiah complex, and they're blowing it right up as you know what.
Well, I
don't doubt that.
He's they probably are, because he is. Well, we know for a fact that he is definitely surrounded by more of these Talmudic Jews than he is actually real Christians. We know that. So, look, there's no question. God had a hand in saving his life without question. And I'm talking about the God we serve, but has nothing to do with these Jewish people wanting him to be there so that they can,
so that they can go and create greater Israel. That's right. That they can bring Messiah in through war. Again, because Trump has no biblical background, no biblical stability at all, he is a sucker for this stuff, and he eats it up left and right because they play off of his ego. The only time you find Trump getting pissed off at Bibi is because he slighted him somehow, not because of an ideological, philosophical difference.
Right.
And that's just the reality of it, which is sad.
Yeah. And Denise, to kind of get back to your point, we'll see what he's going to do. I mean, okay, a couple of bombs, a bunch of theater. Okay, let's see what happens tomorrow. Right. Is Israel going to be happy with what happened and just let this go?
I don't know. So. Bibi went out and congratulated Trump. I mean, thanked Trump.
It's a bromance.
So
it's so disgusting. I mean, Benjamin Netanyahu is really the president of the United States. Trump is this little puppy dog in the lap and taking money and trying to look like he's tough, but
with his ego, I don't understand why. Anyway, I don't get it. Well, but I will say people are coming around, and I don't know when the next election is in Israel, but I can't imagine the people of Israel, because most of them are atheist or at the very least agnostic. They're not practicing Talmudic Judaism.
Yeah, they don't want
any of that stuff.
Wars. They're fed up with it, just like citizens here are. We don't want any more foreign wars.
Exactly.
We don't want them. But it's always these Zionist extremists, religious freaks out on the fringes that have to bring in their version of the second coming or their Messiah through all these quote unquote holy wars. And people in both countries are sick of it, but Bibi's got to stay in power because they're going to throw his butt in jail. And he's just like Zelensky in Ukraine. He wants, he's got to have that war continue so he can stay in power. And
so it'll be interesting to see when their elections happen, if he's going to get voted out. But I will say the people, at least in the United States, look, even Tucker, you go and listen to that full interview. He's questioning things that I'm sure even in his Methodist churches, they were taught, but he's even questioning. And I love the fact that he said, well, what is Israel? Because that's the question you really got to ask.
Right. But
I think people are coming around, and, at least we can all three agree that Fuentes is the man. So I'm going to play one of his clips here talking about that, because I think people are, and thankfully X, once again, the internet is bringing the truth.
The bots make it look like extreme posters have tons of support, which helps to persuade real life viewers that what they are posting is legitimate. And you almost have to laugh. It's almost like laugh out loud funny, because obviously there is an awakening happening in the country, and I see it everywhere. So many of my friends text me and they say, oh, my gym buddy that I go to the gym with, he's watching your clips. Oh, my friends from college and high school, they're reposting your clips on their story. Oh, my colleague from work was talking about you today. I hear it from almost everybody I know now, and I get recognized every time I go out. And obviously, this is a huge blow to the establishment. Mm-hmm. It's a huge blow to their legitimacy. to their credibility, and especially about the legitimacy and credibility of their narratives, like the idea that Israel's our closest ally and Iran is chanting death to America, and that's why we need to bomb them because they're going to wash the world in blood and kill everybody with nukes. And so when they see that everybody in America is saying, you know what, this is a load of bullshit. Israel is responsible for these wars. Maybe they did have a hand in 9/11. We don't want to go to war for Israel and Iran. We want to build our own country. We want to fight our own battles. Well, their only response is to say, oh, well, that's not real. This mass awakening, this groundswell of support, that's not real. That's not happening. That's all fake. Those are not real people. Those are software programs. Those are bots, and they're coming from Iran.
Yeah, exactly. That's how they combat it. It's crazy.
Well, they say there's this big movement of anti-Semitism. That's the other way they try and spin it, because they don't know how to deal with it. But you mentioned before, let's talk about Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz is just laying down just some basic logic here for people to consider. And he said, look, they're lying to you about regime change. And you know why I know they're lying? Because they're justifying all this by saying that we're threatened by Iran having a nuclear weapon because they chant death to America. And he said, but wait a second, they haven't even developed theirs yet. And Korea constantly talks about just nuking New York and California.
I don't think they have
the technology
100
times over, and yet we don't do anything about that. Trump tries to use diplomacy with them, but all of a sudden Iran, who's not even there yet, we have to bomb them because, again, we're Israel's, little goy slave.
All right, so let's I love it. Let me play this. This is actually cool. I don't think North Korea was on that list. Maybe they were. Maybe I missed it. They can barely keep the lights on. Come on, man. It's expensive.
No, man. No. Matt Gaetz says that he's been in the meetings. He knows where they are nuclear wise. And
you know
they're way armed more than Iran will even be in probably 10.
-2.
Yeah, you're talking North Korea has a bunch of nuclear weapons.
More, yeah. They're equipped. They're ready. Do you see the logic, though? Why would we spend so much time on a country that isn't?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Whereas here's another country that wants to kill us too, but has them, and yet we don't bomb them.
Yeah.
It's and because Israel wants us to do something that we're involved.
Well, that, and there's a bunch of oil. I promise you, if somehow it was discovered that there was a ton of oil in North Korea, we would own that thing within a year.
Well,
without
I don't know.
question.
Pretty close to China. We'd have to own China too.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
You know the country with the most nuclear bombs in the world? Japan has -2.
I don't understand that.
Netherlands has 10. Belgium has 15. Turkey has 20. Germany has 20. Italy has 35.
Nuclear.
North Korea has 50.
Nuclear. So North
Israel
Korea
has 90. Pakistan has 170.
which I think Israel has 92.
India has 172. United Kingdom has 225.
Oh, get ready.
France has 290.
So we know it's Russia.
Here we go.
Third, China has 500. Second, U.S. has 5,244.
Amazing how they
First,
know
Russia has 5,880.
exactly how many bombs.
So Russia has more than we do. But look at the difference.
How do they know that, Mark? When Israel won't even let inspectors.
Yeah.
Now that's my next point. Okay, Matt Gaetz is late. Let me finish my points here. So Matt Gaetz laying down some logic. Okay, what about Korea, North Korea? They want to. We're not interested in them, but all of a sudden we are in Iran just because of Israel. And then his other argument. What was his other? I got derailed now. What was?
Oh, here.
Israel won't even let us inspect to see how many.
No, that's right.
They have.
And he goes, because if you want to be concerned about people developing nuclear weapons secretly in the Middle East, why aren't you concerned about Israel?
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but the way they got their nuclear weapons should really piss us off. It was treason. They stole our technology to do it, and they killed one of our presidents who was against it. So I'm more concerned about Israel's nuclear developments than I am Iran's.
Well, and technically, because they're secretive about it, I think there's a UN resolution that says they can't have them, that they're breaking the law because of that. And I think Ian Carroll says there's 92, but you're right. There's no telling how many there are because they will not release that information.
Yeah.
And in fact, when asked about it, they divert. They don't answer the question.
Oh,
that was part of
they can't.
What
they can't confirm or deny
it. Here, let's see if I can. I'm gonna stop sharing for a second, and I'll see if I can find this. That Ian Carroll video he did is episode 1 of, I think, at least 2 or 3. But he does a great job of talking about. In fact, there's 2 interviews that he shows, and I wish I can find. I may have to do it in the next episode. I'll find the clip.
What do you think about Laura Loomer and all of these quote unquote Jews that are saying, "Oh, it's fine, we'll do it ourselves," and we just laugh because we're like, you never do it yourselves. You constantly beg us to do your dirty work. You know,
Lori Loomer,
I've never on your own if you tried.
Yeah, I've never trusted her. I haven't liked her. She's
she's cuckoo.
Yeah,
man.
She seems shady, and I don't know. There's something weird about her, man.
And Mark Levin, he's just unhinged.
Yeah.
He's so unhinged. It is so hard
Levin.
to him. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you heard what Tucker said. You heard what Tucker said. Tucker told someone in an interview, he said it's so clear that Mark Levin was installed mostly by Hannity, but by the owners because he's just not a TV guy. His voice, his mannerisms.
He was a radio guy.
Yeah, he's just horrific on TV.
He starts screaming, and he's terrible.
So,
and it looks down. It's like it's almost like he's possessed. You don't see his eyes, and he's weird looking.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but his Talmudic Zionism is very wicked, and it's amazing. The guy's a constitutional scholar, and yet he can't see that his Israel first agenda and what the Talmud teaches is totally contrary to the Constitution and our way of life. But here's the thing: I like Owen Schroyer. He had and Alex Jones. So Mark Levin, who are you to tell us about our patriotism when you've never been in the military service at all? Oh, Bannon said this too. Bannon was saying this. You've never served our country at all, you little coward. Number one. And number two, who are you to tell us, you're Israel first and you want to lecture us about patriotism? It's it's a joke.
Yeah. Well, and if you go back and look, like he was on, when I heard he was a constitutional scholar, I thought, okay, I'll go on on Sirius and listen to him. And he talked a good game until it came to every single war in the Middle East that we were involved in. Right. And then it was, well, no, constitutionally we can do that. And then he began just spinning it, when you call him a constitutional scholar, it's like calling those constitution lawyers that help to get the presidents over the last, I don't know, since Vietnam to be able to have the power to declare war. You know, they just spin it. They just spin it to say, well, it doesn't mean that, it's this. And he does the same thing. You know, the only scholar up until Massie and maybe who was the other guy that he's no longer in office. He was a good one too, and I can't remember his name. But anyway, it was Ron Paul.
Lee is pretty good. Lee's a pretty good constitutional scholar.
Ron Paul understands it more than anybody. And you know what? He's written, I don't know, 10 books, all revolving around it on some level. I mean, even his In the Fed. I mean, yeah, they don't have a clue on what the founding document truly meant, which was not this by any stretch of the imagination. Justin, what's his name? Anyway,
Mark, let's shift gears here and talk about what you're looking for, baby.
I was just gonna
look
at some of the comments.
Okay, obviously there's a rift in the MAGA. Okay, because we define America first as America first, not Israel first. And now we have all these neocons coming into our movement. We've got all these Christian Zionists in our movement that when push comes to shove, it's really Israel first because that's their religion. They're putting their religion, although it is not based in scripture, they're putting that first, which makes them Israel first. Or they're neocons and they hate Russia. They're these crypto Jews, you know, that are war hawks, part of the, you know, industrial war machine. And so we're seeing this major rift. So how is that going to affect elections coming up in the primaries and in the next presidential election? Because I don't know, Trump has gotten away with a lot of stuff. The lockdowns, praising the vaccine years after he knows that it's been causing turbo cancer. I mean, there was a time when he locked down and he was praising the vaccines. I swore up and down I'd never support the guy. And I ended up doing it again. And so I think we're having another rift here in the MAGA movement where there's just a lot of people that are so disgusted with Trump. They're sick of him and they realize that he really is a Zionist shill. And
yeah, I mean, honestly,
how we recover from that.
Like people like me overlooked the COVID vaccine thing.
Mm-hmm.
We just chalked it up to his ignorance because we knew from a economic standpoint, he was very, leaning towards more freedom. From a war standpoint, he leaned more towards, not wanting to go to war. His first administration, I mean, he was the first one to meet with, North Korea, and he made effort. Now, he still has the economic thing going for him. I can see that. I mean, I'm a big
not anymore. So, not if Iran closes that port that they have.
The Strait of Hormuz.
I mean, I'm a big Bitcoin guy, crypto, and of course, you that is funny you say that because he came out and he said, "I don't want to see any oil prices go up. I'm watching." I don't know what that means.
That's what Trump said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He said it. He goes, "I don't want to," because they're going to close the
Strait of Hormuz. Is that what they're talking about?
Yep. And the oil prices go up, and he goes, "I don't want to see any oil prices go up." Blah blah blah. But after he, a few hours ago mentioned that, it's over, we're done. Then the price of oil came back down. The stock or the crypto market went back up. But he came out and he's removed all of the SEC people that were against crypto, the laws that they were writing. So from an economic standpoint, I like that. but that's why I said, when we started this thing, I'm kind of off the bandwagon because the peace thing means more to me,
right,
than anything, because that affects inflation, that affects the price of energy, it affects the economy. And trust me, I mean, we're 37 trillion in now, man. We're not getting out. And so to even think, and I'm not talking about like Lindsey Graham, he's a dumbass, or even Ted Cruz, but to even think that we have the financial ability to go into a long-term war is crazy. It's crazy. It's just going to accelerate what's already happening. The middle class is being destroyed. People are not going to get out of this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason Bitcoin is $106,000. There's a reason that a home normally would only cost about $200 is now worth $400,000. It's not because your property went up over the last 2 years. It's because the dollar went down.
Right.
And now people, I mean, that are in their early 30s can't afford them.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Well, that's
majority
what Margie
of people in the
Taylor,
United States.
that's what MTG was talking about. Like, that's why she said, I love Trump, but I'm not going to support him here.
Yeah,
because this is not what we voted for. This is not why she went to every freaking rally and stood behind this guy. She's saying, whoa, I'm my own person. I got my own brain. And this is not what we wanted. And this was not what you ran on, because I was there at these rallies that you spoke. And you're totally contradicting what we were supporting you for, because like you said, when you're weak here, it affects the economy.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you think you can go over there and bomb the crap out of someone, declare as a king that there's now peace.
Right.
God did this. We're at peace now. And you know what? I might be in that category of the Q thing, and that this is all just a show and this has all been orchestrated and stuff. Because if there's not continual war after this, then maybe I'll just go Q, because it doesn't make any sense for him to do that and there to be peace. Because
and that's why I'm kind of Denise, I'm with you. I'm ready to kind of see what happens.
And I'm waiting. I mean, it's like I can hold two opposing views in my head at the same time and wait and see what happens and hold and understand the merits of both arguments, But I like some of the comments that Mike Miller made. He said, have we considered what we might be missing while watching the chaos unfold in our own nation? What if China and Russia have already seen enough? What if they decide they're done with our arrogance and our manipulations, our global meddling, and choose to side with Iran, not just in words, but in decisive action? We act like we control the board, but what if we're not reading the room anymore?
Absolutely. And I think Trump understands that. That's why there's not going to be a full-scale invasion by the United States in Iran. First of all, it's very difficult. Just look at how the country's designed. I mean, there's mountains everywhere. I mean, just look at history and the Persians.
And isn't it bigger? It's much bigger than Iraq. Like, it would be really stupid to do that.
Oh, yeah. And then, yes, you would have China and Russia, who have both already come out and said, we're supporting Iran, quote unquote, we're giving them nuclear bombs. I'm still waiting to see if that happens.
And Pakistan,
they would absolutely, and Pakistan, they would absolutely support it. That's why that article I just showed you on Zero Hedge is, it just seems like it's all for show, because there's no way we're going to war with boots on the ground unless Trump's just totally lost his mind. It's not going to happen. And if it does, then it's just going to perpetuate and speed up the destruction of the United States.
It will.
Because it all comes back. War always comes back to economics.
Right.
You look at World War II. I mean, we did a lot of things we didn't need to do economically. It was, I mean, The Nazis invading the United States was total joke. The Russians had already beat them. If you look at it, it's all based on economics, and there was no way it was ever going to happen.
Well, isn't that why the Rothschilds start all these wars?
Absolutely, because they want control. Look at, like you said earlier, Mike, the politicians, most of them, I don't know if they're Christian or not, but most of them, what I do know is they care about one thing only, and that is money and then power. And then once they got enough money, then they just want more power. And that's what they care about. That's what they all care about. That's why the Mordor over the Potomac is one of the most evil places ever. And I've been asked over the years, well, you need to run for office locally and get in there. I said, I would never step foot in Washington, D.C. It's just a cesspool. It's disgusting. It's one of probably the most evil places on earth.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't. And there's very few people that survive it. Ron Paul's one of them. Looks like Massie may get out with his integrity intact and everything intact. Justin, whatever his name was, is another one that got out. But most of them don't get out.
Nope. It's a cesspool. It's a honeypot. And it's probably specifically set up to be that.
Yeah, the Leviathan.
I don't need any honey pots because I got the sweetest honey ever.
Except when we fight.
Yeah.
He finds out I'm always right. And then no, but you're right. And I would love to go there to DC. I'd love to be Trump's spiritual counsel. I would support that. Yeah.
I
would just whoop some ass all over the place.
Yeah, I would support that.
But it is a very it is.
But we'd have to leave. We go in for a couple of days and then we're out of there because you can't stay for very long because you turn and get twisted.
Yeah. Well, I feel that Trump he does love the country, but he has married off his daughter to these people. He surrounded himself with these people. The Rothschilds got him out of bankruptcy. He's just indebted to these people. And because he doesn't know scripture, he is controlled by them. And now he wouldn't want to admit that, but everything we're seeing is the case.
Yeah.
And that causes him to be a Trump, or it causes him to be a Bush light. The very thing he doesn't want to be, he has become because he's beholden to these people.
That's right.
And, Kennedy, we need a Kennedy. We need a Kennedy that just like, no, you can't have nuclear weapons, Israel. No, you have to sign on with FARA. No, you can't lobby here. Like, that's what we need. We need a Massie, someone that's going to run on that platform. And because we're sick of these. It doesn't matter if it's a Trump person or if it's a Democrat. If they're funded by Rothschild and AIPAC, that is the number one problem. And I think that what's happening now is exposing that, and it's shedding light on that. That is the real issue.
Have you seen this? Trump has announced Israel-Iran ceasefire.
Well, I know I read that, but
I don't know.
Yeah, I hadn't been keeping. I should have clicked home. I could have seen. Yeah, man, I hope this holds. But to James's point, the Zionists would not tolerate a peace. So we will see. Are they going to tolerate this?
True.
That is going to be the question.
Key. The Zionists, Yep.
Well,
they're
going to try and figure out a way to get a regime change over there. I mean, because that's the goal. That's always been the goal for Israel.
Well, so supposedly Ian Carroll in this video, and I know I keep pumping it, but if you have not heard it, go listen to it. It is great. He talks about that the old king of Iran that the people overthrew is who Israel and the United States really want in power. So we'll see. Like I said, I think that currently the regime in there is controllable. And now I don't know from an Israel standpoint, but I think from at least a Trump administration standpoint, he's okay with it. But we'll see.
Yeah, but the problem that Trump doesn't see, and these obviously the Zionist Christians don't see, is because they don't study the Talmud. They don't understand that once Israel gains more and more power over these Middle Eastern countries and becomes the dominant, which is what Nick Fuentes laid out, and he did it eloquently, he did it historically, he did it with facts, statistics. Who's going to then want regime change for Israel? Because, you know, as long as they're guided by these extremists, they're the ones that are going to have to be stopped. They're going to be the ones that we're going to have to say, no, we want to look at your nukes. And I don't understand why Trump, if Trump was truly objective, he would just say, hey, look, the best way to deal with this, and this is what Matt Gaetz said, is, hey, look, if you're going to criticize Iran for their nuclear developments being secret, then you're going to have to diffuse your programs, Israel. Right. But he doesn't have the courage to do that.
No, he doesn't. Bought and paid for, man.
Yeah, it's true. Sad.
Unfortunately.
All right. Well, we're a little over an hour, and that's just kind of where we are, folks. The debates continue in our house about Trump and just how much he knows and how much he sold off and sold out, and how much of him has been sold out and how much is just a big game and show. I don't know. But
yeah, he better apologize to Massie. I'm really upset about that.
He's a fool. We talked about the last time he criticized Massie. He is shooting himself in the foot, and his ego is the downfall of him.
Yeah,
his Zionist friends, his lack of understanding of Scripture, and his ego will be his downfall. Period. And it's sad to watch, but
if this ends in a prolonged war, his legacy is done.
Oh, he'll go down in history as the biggest traitor, the biggest betrayer of this country. No one will be talking about Biden. They're all going to be talking about how Trump sold out his base to the Zionists. That will be his legacy. If he doesn't turn this around, he is done. I don't care what he does temporarily for our economy. That's going to last decades and decades. And
that is how
I will never forget it or forgive it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, Bitcoin goes to $1 million. I'll buy an island and I'll contact you guys. You can come stay on my island.
Well, cool. I got my first.
We're trying to get in that game too. So
I got my first $400 in Bitcoin.
Nice.
I know. I'm on
the only thing not losing value. Well, gold too. Gold's good. Gold's good.
All right. So just for you guys that watch my show. So last show, on the book of Revelation, wait till I see that. So me and Zach had major disagreements on the fourth beast of Daniel and Revelation, and that just got crazy. And my wife and I disagree sometimes, but she can keep two opposing views in her head, so maybe she's just smarter than I am in that way. But, we had differences here, and that's what we like. We want you guys to think.
Absolutely.
Sometimes our egos don't like that when we disagree, because we want everyone to agree with us, and we want everyone to be on the same level that we think that we are. But, sometimes disagreement's good, and we need to work through it as graciously as we can.
Amen.
All right, guys. Well, we will see you next week. Mark, take care, brother.
Thank you. See you guys.
All right. Bye. We love your shirt, gangster.